weeks ago, I was from one of those who was thinking, perhaps this is a big hoax. Perhaps this is just, something and it's over exaggerated. I promise you, it took me just a little bit of travel, a little bit of research, a little bit of concern for the ummah to quickly change my mind to say, you know what, as a leader, you should never say those words. Luckily, I never said them in public. Subhanallah. And those who are saying today that don't ever do anything about it, 2 weeks from now or a few weeks from now, they will cry tears of blood if they truly have the concern for humanity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us understanding. If we were to tell you, my brothers and sisters, keep a little bit of a distance between each other when you're talking. Even if people were to say, put on your mask, whether it helps or not from a medical perspective is something else. They would not be wrong. This is good advice for you. Remember, it is mainly the weak and the vulnerable whom we are concerned about. The older people, the young ones might ride the wave and come out of it because the percentage of death, they may argue, is very small. But who knows? If you have an underlying condition, the chances are that you will be from among those who don't make it. And trust me, if you have 12 ICU beds in an entire country, you don't want to even begin to think of where you're going to go. If they tell you in modern countries, first world countries, that you know what, we have to choose who we serve because have you been of service to humanity? Are you a person we need in the community? If yes, this is the bed for you. If not, go and die. May Allah forgive us. We don't want to ever see those days. So all I am saying today, and this address is extremely important, is, brothers and sisters, yes, there may be a conspiracy theory. It might have started by this person and that person. It might have been started for political or financial reasons. Whatever it may be, that's not my field. I have to look at what is on the ground today, no matter who started it. When the bushfires started in Australia, they could blame anyone, but it became a catastrophe for humanity, not just for Australia. Who started it and who didn't is a topic for those who enjoy that or who want to look into it. But as for you and I, what's of importance for us is to save lives, to ensure we don't give the wrong advice. And we don't blackmail people using religion. How can you? So if authorities were to tell you, listen, you have to adopt the following.
I have received hundreds and thousands of questions on the social media, especially on the Facebook, that why is Dr. Zakir Naik silent as far as the issue of coronavirus is concerned? It's more than few months. It's more than 3 months since the issue is there. And today we see every Tom, Dick and Harry, every second person is talking about coronavirus. So why is Dr. Zakir Naik silent? And I have 2 reasons why I'm silent, and I'll be breaking the silence today. Number 1, today the world has become a global village. And especially because of the social media, you have a lot of information and a large portion of it which is either fake or is it false news. And we find today every second person, whether Muslim or non-Muslim, is commenting on coronavirus. And because of the fake news on the social media about coronavirus, about COVID-19, and about the fake news that's been made by different people, it's causing more harm than good. So I didn't want to add to it. I will give you a few examples. In the month of January 2020, the video clips made by some people showing the Chinese being affected by the COVID-19 and they're barking like dogs, they're behaving like animals. I, being a doctor, I know that this is not true because the COVID-19 does not affect the brain, it affects the respiratory system. So these were fake videos of videos recorded during other times and attributing it to coronavirus or COVID-19. There's one person who is giving the treatment for coronavirus saying, you have onion, and he gives the basic description in detail. How should the onion be cut, how you should eat it, and he said within 20 minutes, the coronavirus will be killed in your complete body and you will have negative testing. All these are nonsense and causing more damage than good to humanity. I'll give one more example. There's a person who's trying to be very logical, and he shows on the video, on the Dettol bottle, it's mentioned that this Dettol it kills coronavirus. And you think, see, the manufacturing date is 2019. That means Dettol, which was made in UK, they knew in advance that coronavirus is going to spread in 2020. They made this Dettol before that to kill. That means everything is planted. No, this is nonsense. The person is a fool. He doesn't know the basics of coronavirus. Because coronavirus was discovered in 1930s. What we have today is COVID-19. It's one species of coronavirus. So that's the reason we have to be careful. We don't have to unnecessarily pick up news from the media, from the social media, from the news and repeat it without verifying it. And I'm shocked that even many dais, many who are popular, some of them have been my students, they're talking about the treatment of coronavirus. Number one, when they say coronavirus, it is not the same as COVID-19. COVID-19 is one type of coronavirus, which I speak later on, inshallah. And they give solution. Even dais, I'm shocked, giving solution about coronavirus, how to treat COVID-19, which is not their specialty. And they're even speaking about Islamic aspects, which is not their field. Most of us dais, we are not fuqahas, we are not mujtahid, and they're giving instructions on not to do something which is fard. Let the fuqahas do that. Let the mujtahid do that. A da'i cannot. And imagine if you're wrong, what will happen? Because our beloved Prophet ﷺ said that while giving fatwa, if you are qualified, if you give a right fatwa, you get double sawab. If you give the wrong opinion, wrong fatwa, yet you get a single sawab. But if you're talking about medical aspects, which is not your field, whether right or wrong, you are responsible for the damage caused. It is wrong because today, very few people in the world know about the details of COVID-19. Even I, though I'm a medical doctor, I'm not qualified to speak on COVID-19. There are few people like virologists, like immunologists, those who are specialized in epidemics, who are specialized on virus. A small section of the medical field, they are qualified. So how can a da'i just read a newspaper and repeat it without verifying? Even if it turns out to be right later on, you will be responsible. Similarly, giving fatwa is not our scope. Let the fuqahas do that. That was one of the reasons that I did not speak about COVID-19. But since the people requested me, thousands of them, and all the requests were talking about coronavirus, I will speak a couple of minutes on coronavirus to show you the difference, to give information. Coronavirus, people know about coronavirus since decades. Let me tell you that the coronavirus has got various species. There are about 20 species of coronavirus. And most of these species of coronavirus, they do not affect the human beings. So when they say coronavirus, there's this damage, actually they're giving misinformation. Most of the coronavirus doesn't cause damage to the human beings. There are 5 species, there are 8 species which cause a problem. 5 of these species cause a very minimal problem to the human beings. There are 3 species which really are detrimental and cause a great damage to the human beings. If you read, the coronavirus was first discovered in the animals in 1930s. It was first discovered in chickens, which caused a respiratory tract infection in the chickens. Later on in 1940s, it was found in mouse, and in human beings, the first time it was found was in 1960s, and it was called human coronavirus. And the first time the word human coronavirus came in the print media was in 1968. As I mentioned, out of the 20 species available of coronavirus, only 8 affect the human beings. 5 are very mild and doesn't cause a major problem to the human beings. The 3 are detrimental. Number 1 is the SARS coronavirus. SARS is severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, coronavirus, COV. This mainly spread in the world. It was declared a pandemic in 2003. It started in 2002 in China. It mainly spread in 2003, and 2004 was the last that last that it was seen. So SARS coronavirus mainly spread in 2003, it started in 2002, ended in 2004. After that, it wasn't seen. It was mainly a respiratory tract symptoms were seen. It was declared as a pandemic by the WHO. And the second one is MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. This Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, it spread in 2012. And it affected about 2,494 people in the world. And about 858 people died because of MERS. It spread in about 24 countries, and yet they're keeping a track. As late as the end of 2019, the report said there were 2,494 cases in the full world over all these about 10 years, and it killed 858 human beings. That means a mortality, a death rate of 34.4%. Whereas SARS coronavirus, it had infected 8,098 people in the world and killed 774 people, less than 10% death rate. That is 9.55% death rate. Recently, a few months ago, came the third coronavirus species, which was very deadly for the human beings, and that was COVID-19. Coronavirus disease 2019, also called as SARS-CoV-2, that is severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. This was first came into existence and notified to the WHO was in the end of December 2019, and the infection started a couple of months, some say November, some say October, some say earlier in 2019. What I gave you information is about coronavirus, which is there, and it is already established information. You can go to any medical journal, any medical site, and the information will be somewhat similar. COVID-19, coronavirus 2019 disease, it is new. We aren't aware of the details. There is no established treatment for it yet. There are researches being done. So if the medical fraternity who are specialized in this field, if they give their comments, it's okay. But every Tom, Dick and Harry talking about the treatment, talking about to take care about it, and the guy is doing it, is not our field. Even if it turn out to be right tomorrow out of fluke, that doesn't mean what we did is that, because the Quran clearly mentions in Surah Hujurat chapter 49, verse number 6, when you get information, you check it up, check its reliability. So if the medical experts themselves don't know the authenticity, how can we talk about it? That was the reason I kept silent on this issue.